Imagine a stew that's rich with toasted walnuts, brightened by the sweet-tart flavor of pomegranates, and slow cooked until it becomes as dark as polished mahogany. It may sound unusual, but for centuries this dish has been one of Persia's great celebration dishes, served at weddings, winter feasts, and Christmas tables in Persian Christian homes. It's the story of ancient forests, royal Persian kitchens, poetry, and traditions that have survived for thousands of years. Together we'll discover why this remarkable stew became a symbol of hospitality, abundance, and the simple joy of gathering around the table with family. We're discovering the origins and history of Fesenjan. I'm your host, Glenn Warren, and welcome to another serving of Seasons Eatings, the podcast which explores the history and origins of your favorite Christmas foods. Seasons Eatings is available wherever you download your favorite podcasts, so please subscribe so we can have other listeners join in the Christmas table. If you have a quick minute, please leave a review for the podcast. It lets me know how I'm doing, as well as helping others find the podcast. And if you let me know you left a review, I'll send you a Seasons Eatings sticker as my personal thank you. Seasons Eatings can also be found on all the socials. All these links can be found on the website, seasonseatingspodcast.com. And while you're at the site and feeling extra generous this holiday season, you can buy me an eggnog. Just click on the little cup at the top of the page, and you can leave a donation for as little as $3. Each donation goes towards the running of the podcast and is greatly appreciated. Every December, families across the globe gather around tables filled with dishes that have become symbols of celebration. Some are sweet, like Germany's Stollen or Italy's panettone. Others are savory, like Trinidad's paime or Latvia's piragi. And while the ingredients may differ, they all have something in common. They're foods that ask us to slow down, foods that take time, and foods that reward patience. Today's dish might be one of the oldest we've ever explored. Imagine lifting the lid from a heavy pot that's been gently simmering for hours. A rich aroma of toasted walnuts rises with the steam. There's an unmistakable tang of pomegranate, softened into something deep and mellow. The sauce has become almost the color of polished mahogany, clinging to tender pieces of duck or chicken. Beside it sits a mountain of fragrant Persian rice, each grain perfectly separate, waiting to soak up every drop of that luxurious sauce. This is Fesenjan, a stew unlike almost any other in the world. At first glance, it seems almost improbable. Walnuts in a stew, fruit syrup with poultry, a sauce that's simultaneously rich, tart, and slightly sweet. Yet for millions of Iranians, this isn't unusual at all. It's comfort food, celebration food, wedding food, winter food, and for many Persian Christian families, it's Christmas food. What's remarkable isn't simply how delicious it is, it's that this dish carries with it nearly 3,000 years of history. And today we're traveling to ancient Persia to discover how one humble stew became one of the world's great ceremonial dishes. When people hear the word Persia, many people picture magnificent palaces, glittering treasures, or perhaps the legendary kings who challenged ancient Greece. They think of Cyrus the Great, Darius, Xerxes, names that echo through the history books. But Persia wasn't only an empire. It was also one of humanity's great culinary civilizations. Long before France became synonymous with fine dining or Italy with pasta, Persian cooks were developing sophisticated techniques that emphasize balance rather than excess. Persian cuisine always embraced contrast. Sweet paired with sour, crunchy along soft, fresh herbs balancing rich meats, fragrant spices used not to overwhelm but to complement. But where exactly did it come from? To answer that question, we need to leave the deserts that many people associated with Iran and travel north, much further north, toward the lush forests bordering the Caspian Sea. Instead of endless sand dunes, you'll find emerald green mountains, dense forest, rushing rivers, and fertile farmland. The provinces of Gilan and Mazandaran receive abundant rainfall, creating landscapes that feel more like parts of southern Europe than the Middle East. These forests have been home to walnut trees for thousands of years. Walnuts weren't simply gathered from the wild. They became one of the region's most valuable crops, providing nutrition, healthy fat, and remarkably versatility in the kitchen. And then there are the pomegranates. Few fruits have been deeply woven into Persian culture. These brilliant crimson seeds symbolize life, fertility, abundance, and prosperity. Ancient Persians celebrated the fruit in poetry, mythology, and medicine and art. Even today, Iran remains one of the world's great producers of pomegranates, with dozens of varieties cultivated across the country. And when these two ingredients come together, the rich earthiness of walnuts and the bright acidity of pomegranates, they create something extraordinary. Not merely a recipe, but a culinary philosophy. Exactly when Fesenjan was first cooked, it's impossible to say. Recipes rarely survive from antiquity, especially those prepared in ordinary homes. But historians believe the stew's roots stretch back to at least the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE. This was an empire unlike any the world has seen. Stretching from Egypt to Central Asia, it connected people, languages, religions, and agricultural traditions across 3 continents. Merchants carried spices and farmers exchanged crops. Royal kitchens experimented with ingredients arriving in distant provinces. Persia became not only politically powerful, but gastronomically innovative. Food historian Bert Franger has argued that Persian cuisine developed as a sophisticated courtly tradition long before many European culinary systems emerged. Royal banquets showcased harmony rather than extravagance alone, emphasizing color, aroma, texture, and careful balance. It's easy to imagine these cooks in the royal kitchens discovering how finely ground walnuts simmered slowly released their natural oils to create a velvety sauce, unlike anything flour could produce. Add reduced pomegranate juice, which is a thick, tart, and deeply colored, and the result becomes something remarkably close to modern Fesenjan. Perhaps not identical, and perhaps recipes always evolve, but it's unmistakably familiar. One of the most fascinating aspects of this dish is that almost every step requires patience. The walnuts must be ground, not chopped. Then they're gently toasted. Next comes the slow simmer, not for 20 minutes, not for an hour, sometimes 3 or 4 hours. And as they cook, something magical happens. The walnuts gradually release their oils, transforming the liquid into a silky sauce with extraordinary depth. It's one of those recipes that refuses to be rushed, and that's probably one of the reasons it became such a natural companion to winter celebrations. Holiday meals have always been the meals where time itself becomes an ingredient. Think about Christmas pudding, slowly matured over weeks, or panettone requiring repeated rises, or fruitcake aging for months. The greatest festive foods ask us for something precious, our time. And in giving that time, we signal that the people gathered around the table matter. Fesenjan fits beautifully into that tradition, not because it was invented for Christmas, but because any dish that requires patience eventually finds its place among life's most meaningful celebrations. In the first part of our journey, we traveled north to the forests of the Caspian Sea, where walnuts have flourished for thousands of years, and we explored the ancient Persian roots of one of the oldest ceremonial dishes. But every great holiday food tells two stories. There's the practical story, where the ingredients came from and how the dish is made. And then there's the symbolic story. Why these ingredients? Why this season? Why has this particular dish survived? Why countless others have faded into history? To answer these questions, we need to step away from the kitchen just for a moment and into the world of Persian poetry, mythology, and the rhythms of the natural year. One thing you'll notice if you spend any time reading Persian literature is that food is almost never just food. A pomegranate isn't something you eat. It's a symbol. And a walnut isn't merely an ingredient. It represents hidden riches awaiting beneath a rough exterior. Throughout Persian history, writers have used the changing seasons as metaphors for human life. Spring represents youth, summer maturity, autumn reflection, and winter a time of endurance, family, and hope. So when winter arrived, families didn't simply prepare meals that were filling. They prepared meals that reminded them life would return. And that brings us to one of the oldest celebrations still observed anywhere in the world. Yalda Night. Imagine, if you will, ancient Persia on the longest night of the year. Outside, darkness seems almost endless. The air is cold, the fields lie quiet. But inside the home, lamps burn late into the evening. Grandparents tell stories, children gather close, neighbors arrive carrying baskets of fruit, nuts, and sweets. Poetry is read aloud, laughter fills the room. No one wants to sleep through the longest night of the year. Instead, they stay awake together, waiting for dawn. And this celebration is called Yalda Night. Its roots stretch back well before Christianity, possibly to Zoroastrian traditions, although historians continue to debate exactly how far back the custom extends. But what we do know is that it marks the winter solstice, a point in which the longest night finally gives way to gradually lengthening days. It's a celebration of light overcoming darkness, hope overcoming uncertainty, life returning after winter. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should, because many cultures have celebrated the return of light around the winter solstice. The Romans had Saturnalia, Northern Europeans celebrated Yule, Jewish families celebrate Hanukkah, and Christians celebrate Christmas only a few days later. When the nights are longest, people gather together. They share food, they tell stories, they remind one another that darkness never lasts forever. It's a remarkably universal idea, and it's one that gives Fesenjan its place at the winter table. We'll explore the ingredients and its connection to Christmas after the break.
It's Christmas!
Hello, this is Adam from Merry Britsmas. I am a Christmas fanatic from the UK who thinks that the world needs to know more about the traditions, telly and music that helps make a British Christmas really festive. I look at everything from mince pies to Boxing Day to Wham to Slade to the Royal Family to Doctor Who. If you want to find out more about a British Christmas, or you are British and want a hit of nostalgia, check me out at Merry Britsmas.
An happy blooming Christmas to you and all.
For over 10 years, the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast has been doing deep dives into your favorite Christmas topics.
Muppet Christmas Carol,
Jingle Bells,
Bing Crosby,
A Charlie Brown Christmas,
Mistletoe,
Die Hard,
Secret Santa,
It's a Wonderful Life,
Fake Christmas Tree,
Christmas
Muppet
Carol,
Family
How the Grinch
Christmas, Polar Express,
Santa Leon Day,
Conquers the March,
Christmas
Solid
Activities,
Charles Dickens, A Bomb for Christmas.
And we're just getting started. Tune in for new episodes on the 25th of every month or explore our archives at can'twaitforchristmaspod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
I can't wait for Christmas.
Over the last part, we traveled from the ancient forest of northern Iran to the royal courts of Persia, explored the symbolism of walnuts and pomegranates, and discovered how one of the world's oldest stews became a cherished part of winter celebrations, including Christmas for many Persian Christian families. Now it's finally time to step into the kitchen, because as much as Fesenjan has a story, it's also dinner, and a very memorable one at that. If you've never tasted Fesenjan before, it can be difficult to imagine. Most stews rely on familiar building blocks: stock, onions, herbs, perhaps tomatoes or wine. Fesenjan follows a completely different path. Its heart is made from finely ground walnuts. Not flour, not cream, not butter, walnuts. As they simmer, these walnuts slowly release their natural oils, thickening the sauce into something silky, almost luxurious. The texture is rich without being heavy, and the flavor is deep and nutty in a way that's almost unlike any European stew. Into that goes pomegranate molasses, a syrup made by reducing pomegranate juice until it becomes dark, glossy, and intensely flavored. If you've never tried pomegranate molasses, imagine the brightness of the fruit, but concentrated into something sweet, tart, and slightly smoky all at once. The result is a sauce that's difficult to compare with anything else. It's rich, it's tangy, it's slightly sweet, and somehow every flavor seems to make the others more interesting. And the meat itself is fairly simple. Traditionally, cooks in the Caspian province often prepared Fesenjan with duck. That choice wasn't accidental. The wetlands and marshes of northern Iran supported an abundant waterfowl, making duck a natural ingredient long before modern farming transformed our diets. Its rich flavor also stood up beautifully to intense walnut sauce. Elsewhere in Iran, however, chicken became the more common choice. It's more widely available and more affordable, and eventually became the version many families associated with the home cooking. And today you'll find defenders of both. Ask someone which is more authentic, and don't be surprised if the answer depends entirely on which grandmother taught them to cook. And perhaps that's exactly how it should be. One of the joys of exploring traditional food is realizing that authenticity isn't always one perfect recipe. It's about continuity. Every family adjusts. Some like the stew noticeably tart, allowing the pomegranate to take center stage. Others prefer a sweeter balance, adding a little sugar or naturally sweeter pomegranates. And some recipes include a hint of cinnamon, and others stir in turmeric or saffron. And a few cooks insist on a little pinch of black pepper. None of these variations erase the tradition. They are the tradition. Holiday dishes survive because they're passed from one pair of hands to another, not because they're frozen in time. If anything, a recipe that never changes is a recipe that has stopped living. And of course, no Persian feast would be complete without rice. If Fesenjan is the star of the table, then rice is the perfect partner. And Persian rice isn't simply boiled, it's treated with remarkable care. The grains are soaked, partially cooked, drained, and then steamed until they're light and separate. And then comes the great culinary treasure of Iran, tahdig. If you've never heard the word before, it literally means bottom of the pot. During cooking, the rice at the base develops into a beautifully crisp golden crust. To outsiders, it may seem like an accident, but to Persian cooks, it's often the prize that everyone hopes to claim. Family members have been known to negotiate, and sometimes quite passionately, over who gets the biggest piece. One of the delightful reminders that every culture has its own version of comfort food. Some families argue who gets the last roast potato at Christmas dinner. Others compete for the crispiest piece of tahdig. Different tables, same enthusiasm. And that's what really makes Fesenjan such a fitting subject for this podcast. On the surface, it seems wonderfully different from many of the dishes we've explored. It doesn't contain cinnamon or cloves or dried fruit in many of the way the Western holiday dishes do. It doesn't steam in banana leaves like Trinidad's paime. It doesn't resemble plum pudding or mince pies or roast turkey. But look a little closer, and the similarities begin to appear. Like Christmas pudding, it rewards patience. Like panettone, it's often reserved for special occasions. Like paime, it's made because family is coming. And like almost every festive dish we've explored, it takes traditionally ordinary ingredients and transforms them into something extraordinary through time, care, and shared tradition. And that brings us to Christmas. When Christianity spread eastward, it found established communities throughout the Persian world. Armenian Christians, Assyrians, and Chaldeans all developed rich culinary traditions of their own, continuing to live alongside their Muslim and Zoroastrian neighbors. Rather than inventing entirely new Christmas cuisine, these communities often celebrated Christmas with the finest dishes already associated with hospitality and winter gatherings. Fesenjan was one of them. And not because the dish had Christian origins, it doesn't, but because Christmas, like many winter festivals, became an occasion for preparing the foods reserved for life's most meaningful moments. It's a reminder that food traditions rarely belong to just one religion or one community. They grow, they adapt, they become shared expressions of hospitality. A family might prepare Fesenjan for Yalda in December, serve it again at a wedding in the spring, and bring it to the Christmas table a few weeks later. The occasion changes, the meaning expands, but the dish remains a symbol of generosity, celebration, and the joy of gathering together. Every culture has found its own way of saying the same thing. We're glad you're here. Sometimes that message arrives wrapped in pastry. Sometimes it's baked into bread. Sometimes it's hidden inside a dumpling. And sometimes it's served in a bowl of walnut and pomegranate stew that's been quietly simmering since early afternoon. History often teaches us about kings and battles, about empires that rose and fell, but recipes tell a different kind of history. They don't survive because they're written in stone. They survive because someone teaches a child how to stir a pot. Because a grandparent says, "Not quite yet, give it another half an hour." Because every December or every family celebration, someone reaches for the same well-worn recipe, remembers the people who made it before, and begins again. Fesenjan has survived invasions, changing religions, new empires, new governments, and thousands of years of history. Not because it belonged to rulers, it's because it belonged to family. Perhaps that's why holiday foods endure. They remind us that traditions aren't preserved in museums. They're preserved around dinner tables. So the next time you see a bowl of Fesenjan, or perhaps even decide to make it yourself, remembering you're tasting far more than walnuts and pomegranates. You're tasting one of the oldest, continuous culinary tradition on earth. A dish shaped by forests, orchards, poetry, wintry nights, and generations of cooks who understood that the finest meals aren't measured by complexity alone, but by the people who gather to share them. And that feels like a tradition worth celebrating. I'm your host, Glenn Warren, and thank you for listening to another serving of Seasons Eatings. Seasons Eatings can be found wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I would love to hear from you, so you can contact me at seasonseatingspodcast@gmail.com. You can leave me ideas for future episodes, leave me a comment or criticism, or just say hello. Also, if you leave me a 5-star review and let me know, I'll send you a Seasons Eating sticker as a personal thank you. We also have some great merchandise. Click on the tab to find your next great gift at seasonseatingspodcast.com. Thanks again for having another serving of Seasons Eatings. All music used on Seasons Eatings is royalty-free and used under the Creative Commons license.